My name is Emily Mashak, and I am here today with Casey Hedrick, the Chief Executive Officer of the Boys and Girls Club of Larimer County. Welcome, Casey. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
For those who aren't familiar, can you give me just a quick rundown? What is the Boys and Girls Club of Larimer County?
Absolutely, yeah. So the Boys and Girls Clubs, we provide premier youth development programming for kids between the ages of 6 to 18 years old during the out-of-school times. So after school, when schools are out on breaks, during the summer, Boys and Girls Clubs are open, and we're available to serve youth who need us most. Kids can come to the Boys and Girls Clubs for only $20 per year per child. And we keep that cost low so everybody has an opportunity to attend.
And any child can join as long as they're in that age group?
Yep, any child can join as long as they're in that age group.
And they just pay once a year and they're able to get...
Yep, once a year, $20 per year, and that gets them access to all of our incredible programming, which we have programs that cover sports and recreation. We have programs that cover education and career development. We have programs that cover art and leadership and character development. We provide food, snacks after school, and meals every day in the summer, and that's because of a partnership with the Food Bank for Larimer County. So all of that is available to kids for $20 per year per child.
That is so fantastic. So we'll dive into the clubs a little more specifically later. But going back, the club opened its doors in 1986. How has it grown since then, at least since you've been there?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first club in 1986 was located in Fort Collins. I believe it was in an old retail store. I'm not sure what the store was at the time. But from then till now we have 9 different operating sites in the summer, and we have 7 different operating sites after school. We serve between 600 and 800 kids every single day, and we have kids on a waiting list. So our biggest challenge is how do we continue to serve the kids in Larimer County, and how do we expand in the most sustainable way?
That's great that so many people are able to take advantage of it, though, especially
Absolutely.
since it began.
Yep, absolutely. So that's 3,000 membership annually as well. So 3,000 kids come to the club at least one time every year, and then 600 to 800 kids are coming on a daily basis.
Wow. So many kids are just,
Yes.
That's awesome. That's great. Now, I saw on your website that child safety is the club's #1 priority.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that, and how does the club work to ensure that?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So, safety is the cornerstone of everything that we do. We cannot have a program if we don't make sure that our kids first and foremost are always safe. So we do that a number of different ways. The first one is making sure that we have the right staff and volunteers working with kids, making sure that we do criminal background checks, making sure that our training is up to date, making sure that we're working with school districts on what is the latest and greatest training available, and then making sure that our sites themselves are safe, that we have a good ratio, that we have adequate supplies that are in good condition, and that we create a culture at the club that is comprised of safety, making sure that kids feel safe around staff and that they feel that they can come talk to staff if they need anything.
Parents don't have to be worried when their kids are
Exactly.
at the club.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome. And there are 4 different local clubs.
There's
Right?
actually 7.
7,
we have
okay.
7 different sites. So we have 2 in Fort Collins, we have 1 in Wellington, and we have 4 in Loveland.
So
Yes.
people can sign up for just whichever one is most local?
Correct.
It's all
Yep.
the same program overarching, though.
Yes. So it's all run by the Boys and Girls Clubs of Larimer County, but parents can sign up for the club that makes the most sense to them via their transportation schedule or the school that they attend, whatever works best for them. Our only limiting barrier is capacity. We are at capacity at most of our clubs, and so we do have wait lists that exist at just about every single site. And so that's our strategic challenge, is how do we make sure that we provide this service to more kids who need it.
So there are 5 key elements for positive youth development that the club is modeled after. How did the club come to develop these and put them into practice?
So the 5 key elements for positive youth development is really something that comes from Boys and Girls Clubs of America and has been a part of the DNA for Boys and Girls Clubs across the country. And so we are just lucky enough as an affiliate member of Boys and Girls Clubs of America to implement that here. So, and all of what the 5 key elements are is just really about what is youth development? So youth development means that kids need a safe and a positive place. That's first and foremost. Secondly, they need to have fun. They need to make sure that they're having a good time. They're kids, that this is a fun space for them to be. The third one is supportive relationships, so that there is somebody in our clubs that a kid can go to if they need to talk to somebody. If they've got something going on in their lives, that there's a staff member or a volunteer that can help them navigate through any challenge. The fourth one is recognition. We want to make sure that kids get recognized at the Boys and Girls Club for the outstanding things that they do. Some of the kids who come to the club might not be coming from an environment that they get recognized. So at the club, it's important that we do that, and that's through our Youth of the Year program, that's through member artwork, that's just through making sure that we know every kid's name and making sure that they feel that this is their club. And then the final one is to provide high expectations for kids and opportunities that they might get, that they can get at the Boys and Girls Club that they might not get anywhere else. So a couple examples of those opportunities is every spring our kids get to go play baseball with the Rockies.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, the Rockies put on a clinic and our kids get to go. We also have overnight camps throughout the summer that our kids get to go to, and that's out by Red Feather Lake. And for a lot of the club members, that's their first time outside or out in an overnight capacity in the wilderness. But again, it's providing those opportunities that kids might not get if it wasn't for the Boys and Girls Club.
It's really treating kids as people instead of talking down to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think all of us as adults probably have one person in our lives that we could think back to, and that person was the pivotal change. It might have been a coach, it might have been an aunt, an uncle, a parent, but at Boys and Girls Clubs, we want to position our staff to be that pivotal change in a kid's life, and that is about a cooperative learning environment. That is really about working with them as people and helping them develop to their full potential.
I love it. Such a unique but important perspective. Now, you mentioned some kids get things out of the Boys and Girls Club that they may not be getting at home.
Right.
How does the club deal with children who have a more challenging or not so ideal home life?
Yeah, I think that's a case-by-case basis, right? I think it's always working with them to help them navigate through it. And that's, that could be a very broad spectrum. Of course, if there's any kind of abuse or neglect or anything like that going on, we would notify the authorities right away. But in terms of, if a kid maybe just isn't getting homework help at home because maybe mom's really busy and she's working 2 jobs and she doesn't have time, then at the Boys and Girls Club, we will help them with homework. So it's really in knowing your kids, and it's really about knowing our club members and what they need and what the club can do to help them be successful.
You also have various programs in the club. I saw you had academic, healthy lifestyles, character, and leadership. Can you tell me more about those programs and what they do for the kids?
Sure, absolutely. We have, under each one of those, there's just a lot of different elements that fall into them.
Yeah, I know. There's this is a big question.
Yes. And depending on the time of year, that varies as well. The big goal, if we looked at academics, is to help kids be set up for their full potential and to help kids be successful in school. So under that umbrella, we have STEM programming, we have engineering programming, we have homework help, we have reading and literacy programming. We throw some artistic expression in there as well. But the overall goal is to help kids be successful in school. And so if that means that they need to read 30 minutes a day with a staff member, we make sure that happens. Over on the healthy lifestyle program area, again, a number of different programs fall under that, or a number of different activities. But the goal there is to help make sure that our kids are well-versed to make healthy decisions as they age, so that they know how to avoid drugs and alcohol, and they know how to maintain a healthy diet and healthy living, and they understand the value of exercise and how they can get exercise. And then the final priority is that character and citizenship and leadership development. And that's, again, it's the same concept about how do we help kids develop good character, and how do we help position them to be great leaders in our community. And so under that umbrella, we'll take kids to city council meetings, we'll take kids to school board meetings, we'll have little leadership groups in the Boys and Girls Club that kids have to get elected for, and then they have to make decisions about. And then we also do a ton of community service. So this last summer, we logged over 5,000 hours of community service in Larimer County.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so that was our kids, they might be picking up road ditches, they might be walking dogs, they might be hanging out in a nursing home, but all of that is about preparing kids to meet their full potential as they age into being a very responsible and productive adult.
That sounds amazing, especially Especially, it brings to my mind in 2019 when we have iPhones and iPads and kids aren't getting outside anymore.
Right.
Like, this sounds like a great thing
Right.
to help avoid that a little bit.
Yes, and that's absolutely one of our competitors. Yeah, it's technology, definitely.
Yeah, it can be a challenge for sure. How can, you kind of did already talk about this, but just to reiterate for listeners who are just joining in, and for those who are just joining in, I'm speaking with Casey Hedrick, the Chief Executive Officer of the Boys and Girls Club of Larimer County. How can families and children get involved with or join the club, sign up?
Yeah, so if families or kids are interested in getting involved, coming to the Boys and Girls Club, they need to identify which site that they would like to go to, and then they call that site. And that's when we have to determine if there's a waiting list at that site or not, because again, not every single site is on a waiting list. If there is a waiting list, we'll put their name and their contact information on that. And if there's not, then you come in, you fill out paperwork, and you go through member orientation, and you can start whenever after that.
Great. Any time of the year? Or
Any time of the year.
That is so cool. And I know that each program and location probably has their own site, but is there a general website that people can visit?
Yes, so if you go to begreatlarimer.org, that is our general website, and you can get all the contact information there for every single site. You can get our administrative support contact information, and we're happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
That's great. And then how about for people who aren't children but want to still be involved in the club? How can they volunteer?
Sure. So if you go to our website, again, that's begreatlarimer.org, there is a Get Involved tab, and under that, it's Volunteer with Us. And if you go to that tab, you can read the different volunteer opportunities, and it walks you through step by step what that process looks like.
Can you give me a little snippet or example of what a volunteer position would be like?
Sure.
What they would be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we try to give people opportunities to volunteer in a number of different ways. People are very busy, but if you wanted to be a regular program volunteer with the Boys and Girls Club, you would meet with us and talk to us about what your interests are. So maybe you are an artist that would like to share that gift with kids at the club, or maybe you are a retired teacher and you want to help reading during the after-school homework help program. So we would tailor your experience to your interests is how we would go about doing that. So you let us know, we take you through orientation, do a background check, and then get you started.
I love it. Kind of the same way how the club is so tailored to each individual
Exactly.
kid.
Yep, exactly.
That's great.
Yep.
Now, I know you also have events going on.
Yes.
You've got a few coming up.
Yes.
Can you give me a rundown? What's going on?
Absolutely. So on September 6th, we have our Great Futures Gala that will be held at the Hilton Fort Collins, and it's one of our largest fundraisers. So that night is going to have a silent auction, a live auction, amazing testimonials from current club members and alumni. We have an amazing keynote speaker, Dr. Albert Bimper, who is with CSU and is a former club member. He will be speaking that evening. And then we have a great dance and band following that up. So if people are interested in getting tickets for that event, it's also at begreatlarimer.org. It's one of the first things that you'll see if you go to the website, $100, and it's going to be an amazing evening to support the Boys and Girls Club. And then later on in September, we have our Day for Kids. And so that's going to be held out at the Promenade Shops in Loveland. That day is really about just coming out and having a really fun day for kids. There's going to be different vendors and booths there that have different interactive activities for kids to get involved in and families to get involved in as well. And that date is September 21st.
Sounds like such a fun list of events, and we can find them on begreatlarimer.org, correct?
begreatlarimer.org.
Thank you so much, Casey, for coming in. I'm proud that we have such a fantastic club right here in our Larimer County, Northern Colorado community.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Again, that was Casey Hedrick, the Chief Executive Officer of the Boys and Girls Club of Larimer County. To find out more about upcoming events, how to volunteer, sign up, or to learn more about the club in general, you can visit begreatlarimer.org.